The concentric zone model was one of the first attempts to explain urban growth in a structured and systematic way. It suggests that cities grow outward from a central point, with different social groups and economic classes occupying specific concentric zones around the city center. According to Burgess, urban areas expand in rings, each characterized by a different type of land use and social activity. This model assumes that urban growth follows a predictable pattern driven by economic factors and social dynamics. In 1925, Ernest Burgess proposed that the city can be divided into 5 distinct zones, each with its unique characteristics. These zones represent various stages of urban growth and social stratification. Let's explore these zones one by one. The innermost zone of the city, the Central Business District, CBD, is the heart of economic and commercial activity. That is letter A in the picture. This is where the city's financial institutions, government offices, and businesses are concentrated. The CBD is often characterized by high-rise buildings, busy streets, and intense commercial activity. It is typically the most expensive land in the city due to its proximity to essential services, transport hubs, and cultural landmarks. The people living in or near the CBD are typically those engaged in commercial or professional activities, such as business executives, lawyers, and office workers. Because of the high demand for space, the CBD is usually dominated by offices, retail outlets, and entertainment centers rather than residential areas. The second zone, the zone of transition, lies just outside the CBD. That is letter B in the picture. This is often a mixed-use area that includes both residential and commercial properties. It is marked by economic and social change as it transitions from the expensive city center to more affordable neighborhoods. Typically, this zone is home to immigrants, lower-income families, and individuals who cannot afford to live closer to the CBD. In this zone, we often find rundown housing, abandoned buildings, factories, and warehouses. The zone of transition is also where the phenomenon of urban invasion occurs. New social groups, often from different backgrounds, move in and replace the previous occupants. This process is known as succession, where one group gradually displaces another due to economic pressures or changing land uses. For example, immigrants may first occupy areas in this zone, but over time, they might move out as they accumulate wealth, making space for new groups to settle in. As we move further from the city center, we enter the working-class residential zone. That is letter C in the picture. This zone is typically characterized by low to moderate income housing, often consisting of small single-family homes, apartments, and row houses. These neighborhoods are home to factory workers, service employees, and other blue-collar workers who have stable but modest incomes. The working-class residential zone represents a step up from the zone of transition, with more stable and established communities. However, it is still far from the wealthier areas of the city. These areas might feature schools, parks, and local businesses that cater to the working-class population. Social mobility within this zone is often limited, but over time, the residents may move to the next outer zone as they improve their economic standing. Beyond the working-class zone, we find the middle-class residential zone. That is letter D in the picture. This area is characterized by better housing and higher quality amenities compared to the inner zones. Here, we find larger homes, suburban-style developments, and quiet, tree-lined streets. The residents of this zone are typically white-collar workers, professionals, and middle-income families. The middle class often seeks a peaceful and stable environment, and this zone offers better infrastructure, such as well-maintained schools, shopping areas, and recreational spaces. Because of the improved living conditions, this zone is typically the area of choice for people who want to escape the busier, more crowded areas of the city, but still want to remain within commuting distance of their workplaces in the city center. The outermost zone in the concentric zone model is the commuter zone. That is letter E in the picture. This area includes the suburbs and exurbs that are located farthest from the city center. The residents here typically commute into the city for work, as the land is more affordable, and there is more space for larger homes and green areas. The commuter zone is characterized by low-density housing, including single-family homes, and is often associated with a higher standard of living. People in the commuter zone tend to have higher incomes than those in the inner zones, and they often work in professional or managerial roles. These areas are also home to wealthier individuals who prefer to live away from the hustle and bustle of the city while still maintaining access to the city's economic and social opportunities. The concepts of invasion and succession are key to understanding the social and economic dynamics that occur within the concentric zones. Invasion refers to the process by which one social group enters a zone and begins to take over space previously occupied by another group. This often happens due to economic pressures, migration, or changes in land use. For example, immigrant populations may initially move into lower-income areas in the zone of transition. Succession follows invasion, as the new group gradually replaces the old one. Over time, the original residents may move to more affluent areas, while the invaders establish new social networks and economic activities. This process can be seen as a cycle, with new waves of immigration or migration creating further changes in the urban landscape. While the concentric zone model provides a useful framework for understanding urban growth, it has several limitations. One of the most significant criticisms is that it oversimplifies the complex nature of urban development. Cities are not always neatly organized into concentric zones, and other factors, such as transportation infrastructure, government policies, and cultural preferences, also influence urban patterns. For example, cities like Mumbai and New York do not necessarily follow a strict concentric pattern. In these cities, socio-economic factors and historical legacies of colonialism, segregation, and migration patterns have created more irregular growth patterns. Additionally, modern urban growth is often driven by decentralized factors such as the rise of the internet and telecommuting, which can alter the traditional patterns of urban development. The concentric zone model was based on the study of Chicago, and its relevance can still be observed in the city's development. Chicago in the early 20th century was a rapidly growing city with a mix of industrial, commercial, and residential areas. Burgess's model helped explain the ways in which social groups were distributed across the city, particularly the movement of immigrant populations into transitional zones and the development of wealthier residential areas on the outskirts of the city. Today, although Chicago has evolved significantly since Burgess's time, elements of the concentric zone model can still be seen in its urban structure. The central business district remains a hub of commercial and cultural activity, while neighborhoods further out continue to show varying levels of affluence and housing quality. However, like many other cities, Chicago also exhibits irregularities that suggest the influence of other models and factors in shaping its urban landscape. In conclusion, the concentric zone model offers a valuable lens through which we can understand the dynamics of urban growth. While it may not capture every nuance of modern urban development, it still provides useful insights into the spatial organization of cities and the social stratification that shapes urban life. By breaking down cities into distinct zones, we can better understand how different social groups interact with one another and how urban spaces evolve over time. Thank you for watching.